engaged in afforestation activities. Such activities will prevent or reduce the rate of mass movement. But if the reverse is the case, where man engages in deforestation activities on the slope, that will enhance or promote mass movement. Now, the nature and weight of the material involved is also a factor affecting mass movement. The lighter the material, the faster the movement, and vice versa. There's also the presence of moisture also affects mass wasting. Moisture here serves as a lubricant or lubrication to lubricate the surface and thus promotes movement. Example, we have rain, water, and ice, etc. These are the lubricating moisture which promotes mass movement. Now, another factor is the presence of thick vegetation. Presence of thick vegetation reduces the rate of mass movement. Earthquakes also can cause movement of soils from one place to another. And volcanic eruption also affects mass wasting. Finally, we have the undercutting of slopes, which is mostly due to human activities. There are different types of mass movement. We have soil creep, rock falls, soil flows, and landslides. We also have subsidence and slope failure. Let's look at some of these types, one after the other. Number one, soil creep. Soil creep has to do with a very slow downward movement of soil materials down a gentle slope. Most times, these movements are not noticeable. However, where they are noticed, or they could be noticed, when fences or trees tend to move or tilt towards the direction of movement, as shown in the diagram. You can see the electric pole, the trees, all tilting towards the direction of the movement. Now we also have soil flow. Soil flow occurs in temperate and polar regions where the soils are saturated and the soil and rock fragments move down slope, freezing and thawing alternately to supply the energy which is needed for the transportation or the transfer of the debris. And rockfall appears to be the most rapid type of mass wasting. And it occurs when large mass of rocks fall from a steep cliff. And when this happens, the broken rocks collected at the base of the slope is called talus, as shown in the diagram. You can see the rock mass falling through the slope of the cliff and being collected at the base here. And the ones collected at the base here are called the talus. We also have landslide. Now, landslide is the movement of large rock debris over an underlying weak rocks. When a large rock debris is moved over an underlying rock that is weak, that could give rise to a landslide. And landslide also could be caused by the lubricating action of water running down steep slopes. And the pull of gravity also, an earthquake, as well as volcanism, are some of the causes of landslides. Let us look at effects of mass wasting. When mass wasting occurs, what are those things we experience in the environment? What are those things? Could there be loss of life? Could it be loss of properties? Let's look at them one after the other. Mass wasting causes the lowering of the landscape. A landscape which initially had a kind of highland or a topography that is elevated will become lower. And that's one effect of mass wasting. Mass wasting also forms some kind of platforms or landforms known as talus. As the rock falls and are collected at the base of the cliff, talus is formed, and that is a kind of landform. And mass wasting also leads to a loss of life, loss of properties, loss of settlements, and disruption of transportation network. Mass wasting also can lead to the tilting of electric poles and trees, as was shown in the diagram before or above. Now let's take these questions, see how we can answer them to better enhance our understanding of this concept or topic. Now question 1 says, distinguish between erosion and mass wasting. Erosion here is the gradual removal of the topsoil, whereas mass wasting has to do with the movement of loose rock materials downslope. Number 2 difference we have here is that the agents of erosion are running water, wind, waves, glaciers, etc. Whereas mass wasting is influenced by the force or action of gravity. There are features of erosion which include gorges, canyons, waterfalls, rapids, captures, potholes, while we have features of mass wasting which include slumps and slides, scars, slump blocks, hummocky blocks, talus, and screeds. So that has distinguished erosion from mass wasting. Number 2 says, name 3 features each of erosion and mass wasting. So from the answer given to question 1, the third difference given there has answered question 2, because in that place we have talked about or mentioned more than 3 features of erosion and more than 3 features of mass wasting. So question 3, it says describe 5 factors affecting mass wasting. 5 factors which affect mass wasting. 1, we have the slope, the gradient of the slope. When we have a slope with steep gradient, the rate of mass movement is high than when the slope is gentle. 2, we have activity of man. Human activities could either enhance, involve afforestation. Of course, that has to do with the planting of trees. That will reduce the rate of mass movement. But on the other hand, if man is involved in activities like deforestation, which has to do with the indiscriminate felling of trees, well, that will promote mass wasting. And we also have presence of moisture, and this moisture attempts lubricating. They serve as lubricant. Number 4 question says define the term denudation. Denudation has to do with the gradual wearing away or breaking down or lowering of the earth surface by gradual wearing away or breaking down of such surfaces. Let's say, for instance, now a rock surface. With the action of the various agents of denudation like wind, running water, waves, and ice on this surface, over time there is tendency that these surfaces will be broken down and worn away or worn out. As a result, there will be gradual lowering or leveling of that surface. So this process is called denudation. The last question there says describe the stages of denudation. 4 stages are involved in the process of denudation. 1, we have weathering. 2, we have erosion. And 3, we have transportation. Finally, we have deposition. When at the first stage, which is weathering, the rocks are broken down into pieces. And the second stage, we have erosion. They are washed off. And the third stage, we have transportation. They are carried from one place to another, and finally deposition. They are, dumped in a certain area where over time they accumulate to form soil or rock, sedimentary rocks. So those 4 stages, sometimes they are called sequences of denudation. So there are the 4 stages involved in denudational processes. Let's consider climate change. What do we mean by climate change? This is a long-term shift in weather condition identified by changes in temperature, precipitation, wind, and other indicators. Now, when there is significant change in these climatic indicators such as temperature, precipitation, wind, over a long time, we tend to say that we have experienced climate change. And now this climate change is caused by many